Next on Lakeshore Focus, we have two award-winning local entrepreneurs. Both make a product. One can make you look good, and the other can make your house look good. Stay with us.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.
Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. Recently, Northwest Indiana celebrated 25 years of recognizing successful businesses and the entrepreneurs and owners who built them. On today's show, we have two of these recent winners to tell us their stories. Let's meet Paco Fernandez, who is a professional clothier and the owner of Paco's Custom Clothiers, and Vincent Lemen, serving as president of Dust Furniture. You both have interesting names to your businesses. I don't know, obviously yours is with yours, but just being a clothier, what is a clothier?
A person that makes clothing. The design,
it's that simple.
It's all about clothing. A clothier is an individual that makes you look good.
Okay, so you manufacture clothing, you make clothing.
Correct.
Okay. So Dust Furniture doesn't give me a whole lot of clues here. So Dust Furniture, I mean, we try to dust our furniture. Do you dust your furniture too?
I try my best to.
So what is Dust Furniture?
So Dust Furniture is a line of artisan furniture. It's best described as art furniture. The original purpose was to take art off the walls and bring it into your life. So they're curvy, colorful, bright colored pieces of art furniture.
So you both are creative.
It sounds like it,
You
yes.
both create.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So your background is in engineering?
So I grew up in my family's custom cabinetry business, so that's where I get the craft of what I do. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, which is how I do the efficient design and manufacturing of my work, and I'm God-givenly artsy. So my furniture is a combination of those three things.
Okay. How about you? How do you get into making clothing?
Well, I was hired by a company as a temp, the longest 3 weeks of my life. I was there.
Why was it so long?
I was there 28 years.
Oh, okay. You stayed there forever then.
Absolutely. And the company was a custom clothier. And I started to from the very beginning. I've always enjoyed clothing.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 19 years old when I started.
Okay, and so it was just a temporary assignment?
Well, when I started to work in the clothing industry, I was washing windows at a clothing store, and the owner of the store, they decided they're going to have a sidewalk sale, and they asked me, next weekend you're not going to be washing windows, you're going to be part of the sidewalk sale. And I said, no, I want nothing to do with sales. It's not me, thanks but no thanks. No, what you're going to do is you're just going to keep an eye on the merchandise and talk to people. That's kind of cool.
So you jumped in, and you're successful?
That's exactly what I did. And on Monday, they pulled me into the office, and I was scared out of my brains.
Thought you were getting fired?
Exactly. Something happened. And the owner of the store says to me, he says, how did you manage to sell more than all the salespeople put together? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't sell anything. So I told you, I don't want nothing to do with sales. And the owner came back and again, he said, yeah, you did sell a lot of things. And I said, okay, then are you going to fire me? Did I do something wrong? What's wrong with this?
So this is called young and stupid, right?
Exactly. That's it. I take full blame on this. So he said to me, he said, okay, I tell you what, you claimed that all you did is talk to people. So what I want you to do from now on is you're going to start washing windows and you're going to start talking to people.
So when did you move into making the clothing then?
That was the next step. Is I started to work on the store, and he decided that it was a neighborhood store. So he says, you're starting to like this too much, and you should move into a better part of the city. So he got me a job downtown Chicago at a store called the Custom Shop.
Wow.
And the custom shop was a chain of, at that time, was only like 70 stores coast to coast. And I was hired as a temp because the manager of the store was going on vacation. And he just wanted to hire somebody to keep an eye on the merchandise while he was on vacation with the rest of the staff.
It sounds like you have a regular job of just like keeping track of things. I'm not
Exactly.
sure what that is. Well, I'm gonna get back to how that transitioned into your business at some point. But how did you get into yours? I mean, your family was in cabinet making.
Sure, that's right. So I literally grew up building cabinets and furniture. And as I mentioned, I'm God-givenly artsy. So growing up, I was always drawing and designing and doing sculpture and photography. And so since I was a very good worker at a young age, I started exploring my design ideas in furniture. So it was sort of the natural combination of what I was good at, building things, with my natural artistic talents. And so I started part-time just designing different pieces over the years. And then after I finished college, I realized that hardcore corporate engineering wasn't necessarily well suited to my personality.
How does an artsy person end up going into engineering and getting a degree in it?
It's not so different from architecture, really. I'm sort of a left brain, right brain sort of person. I really love technical things, and I really love creative artistic things. So I'm somewhere in the middle. And so what I love about what I do is I get to do both, right? I get to do the creative design work, and then I get to do the technical design work to make it happen.
What's really interesting is both of you have combined what might be not necessarily seen as a normal compatible set of skills, the mechanical and the artistic, and you're the creative side and the relationship building, working really close with people. Because a lot of people say, oh, you're probably good at using your hands and making stuff, but you probably aren't good with people. But you obviously are good at both.
Well, actually, yes and no. And the reason why I say that is because when I started to work for the custom shop, it was mainly sales. And they made, at that time, they only made custom shirts. So I learned, I'm not a tailor by trade.
Okay.
I am a professional fitter. So I measure people and design the garment, and then at the custom shop, we made our own shirts.
So somebody else does all the sewing and all that?
Correct.
Okay. So you're really the guy that says, oh, we need to take the pants in here a little bit, and you need to lose a few pounds because that jacket doesn't fit you well.
My partner is the brains of the whole story, because he's the one that makes the clothing.
So you got a partner?
Yes.
And so he's stitching?
Yes. Gidal Vodovos is a Russian immigrant who is unbelievable in making clothing.
You've got a good international business going here, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So that's interesting. Now, I think you told me that your wife's involved in your business, right?
Absolutely.
So you kind of got a partner too.
Oh, most definitely. My wife was absolutely crucial to the formation of our business.
Like Paco, are you going to say she's the brains of the business?
I would definitely say
because you are on TV, remember that. So what do you want to say about your wife?
Well, so when I started off, I was just making one-of-a-kind pieces of art furniture, and I would always complain to her, and she was my girlfriend at the time. I was, I made this one-of-a-kind piece of art furniture, but now somebody wants it in a different color. And so she worked with me, and she helped me turn my line into one-of-a-kind pieces of art furniture into a reproducible line. So with her graphic design prowess and talents, she turned my little fledgling idea into like a brand.
She does have the brains, Paco.
That sounds like it. That sounds like it.
It's
Absolutely.
good you both end up with partners here that really
Absolutely.
complement what you do in business, which is an important lesson in business ownership, to know what you're good at and what you're not necessarily good at, and kind of complement that. So tell me a little bit about, when did it become a business for you? So you were working for somebody else. When did you say, I'm going to have my own business?
Well, actually, in all honesty, I never thought of having my own business. I enjoyed working for the company very much, and I enjoy in the mid-'80s they started to make clothing. So I learned how to measure for clothing, how to fit and deliver. My forte is not to make it. My forte is to teach people how to measure and deliver the garment. So I learned that to the best of my ability, and became the company's clothing director. In 1996, the company was sold to a group of investors. They knew nothing about the clothing industry.
Isn't that always fun?
And they quickly learned that. So instead of investing money on the industry, they milked it as much as they could and sold it in 1998 to a group they knew less than they did.
And these people are all watching the show, so go ahead.
That's great. That's very good. The company is no longer in business. So in 1999, I actually took a job somewhere else. I accepted a position elsewhere. And so I resigned and I gave notice, and now I left. It's Saturday morning and I'm supposed to start on Monday. So I call the individuals that I'm supposed to start on Monday and say, listen, I'm supposed to start on Monday, and I'm a diver. So I'm going to go diving for a week so I come back fresh, ready to work, and ready to start working with you. And this individual decided to start renegotiating our contract. So now he feels he got me because I'm unemployed. So it went from a discussion, from a conversation to a discussion to an argument to click.
And you
So
said...
now I'm unemployed.
And so what made you not go look for another job, but start the business?
I called one of our vendors, Martin Greenfield Clothiers, who used to make the clothing for the custom shop. And I said, Martin, I'm unemployed. He said to me, what were you going to do for? I said, honestly, I don't know, because they do direct sales. And I've always been inside store sales. So he says, I tell you what, I know you're going to figure it out. So I'm going to send you a book of fabrics, and you'll figure it out once. Trust me on this.
So you just got kind of thrown in, they say that thrown into the fire.
Exactly.
Right? Just jump
and he
in.
said the only thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you have a business license. So at that time I lived in East Chicago, Indiana, right behind City Hall of all places. And I went to City Hall. Said, okay, I'm here to do a business license. The guy says, cool, it's up on the second floor. So I go up to the second floor. I'm here to do a business license. And the young lady says to me, okay, cool, here's an application. And I started to feel uncomfortable and got very nervous, and I started to sweat. And the young lady says to me, is there a problem? I said, no, but I'm just here to get a license. She says, okay, so you got to fill out the form. I'm like, but...
So at what point did you tell her you're going to start making clothing?
That's exactly that's how the company name got started.
So was her husband or boyfriend or your first customer or something?
No, she asked me, okay, what's the name of the business going to be? I said, I have no idea. He said, okay, what's your name? I said, Paco. He says, what are you going to make? I said, custom clothing. He said, there it is, Paco's Custom Clothiers.
So it's as simple as that. And that's what's on your clothing too,
and
right?
that's exactly what our label is.
And it's been that way
we designed since day one.
ever since.
Ever
Wow.
since.
That's an interesting story. How did you decide to start, then say, this is going to be a real business?
Oh, for me, it was not like a real deliberate decision. I started pursuing my passion, which is design and furniture making, and that grew on a part-time basis. And then, as I said, my wife helped me turn it into a reproducible line, and we were still doing that on a very part-time basis. But the real turning point was actually a month after my wife and I were married. We got married, and then we took our little line of furniture to a wholesale show in Philadelphia. I'll always remember packing up the van and driving to Philadelphia for the first time. But the show went very well. We were well received, and my wholesale accounts went from about 3 to 30 in the course of a weekend.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2006, I think.
Okay.
Or probably a little earlier than that. But anyway, so our business really took off in earnest.
Real quick.
And it's an interesting way to start a marriage.
Well, interesting way, but fairly typical. Let's see, you got married and you immediately had a baby, right? But it turned into a business.
Very true.
Business baby.
Absolutely. We had a business baby together. That's
so
right.
What's been the most challenging part? First of all, why do you guys think that you got recognized for doing? What do you think they saw in you as like, you're really got a great business, you're doing a great job? What do they see in you?
On my end, for example, my very, very first customer is a gentleman that unfortunately just got buried a few days ago. Actually, now quite some time ago. He was the mayor of our city. I lived in Chicago, Mayor Robert Pastrick.
Right.
He was my very, very first customer.
Wow, well, that's a good customer to have, somebody who knows everybody.
Oh yeah. And that's exactly what got me into. It was funny because while I was in his office measuring him up for the first time, our very first customer, he asked me, "Do you mind if we do a press release?" I had no idea what a press release was. No idea. So I said, "Sure, why not?" And I started to feel uncomfortable. So he says, "Are you okay?"
This is a pattern for you, isn't it, Paco?
Yeah.
When you start sweating, something good happens.
If you see me start sweating because I get nervous, that's exactly what happens. And so he says, "Don't worry about it. Julie, get some so-and-so from the Times in here and get so-and-so from the Post in here." And they took, I don't know, 300-400 pictures.
You know, it's real interesting. So your business really has evolved. I mean, just kind of like things just kind of fell into place for you.
Very much.
But you're kind of at the right place at the right time, and you're kind of connecting to the right people, even accidentally.
My
made it
business,
work.
I don't do any advertising. My business is strictly by referral.
Wow.
And I get literally 3 to 5 customers a week.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you went to, what made you think you went from those 3 customers to 30 that quick? What were you doing
It
so
was
well?
the wholesale show. So at this wholesale show, we basically set up a booth, and customers that were specifically there to purchase product for their stores placed orders for the year. And so they came through and saw our work, and it was very well received.
So why do you think you received this award? What do they see in your business? I think they're seeing in Paco's this kind of unique thing, and you've got a really interesting story with this business, and you're obviously doing very well with it. So what do they see in your business?
I mean, my short answer would probably be passion. Our furniture is very unique. You know, I'm pouring out my passion to design my furniture, and then the process of making furniture and keeping manufacturing here in Northwest Indiana, that requires passion too.
Do you have people working for you?
Absolutely, yeah.
How big are
6 or 7, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for really a small manufacturing business, that's pretty important. And this is just you and your partner in your business.
Well, actually, it's more than just me and them, because we have other people that works for us. I have presence in now, from the first customer of Robert Pastrick, we have close to 4,000 customers today worldwide.
Wow.
I have presence in 19 different cities, so I travel 38 weeks a year. I travel to 3 days a week to 19 different cities in the United States.
Wow.
great.
So you have other people who kind of subcontract for you and
Correct.
do some of the production?
Correct.
You do your own designs? I mean, Vincent keeps talking about his designs. Are you kind of design stuff too?
Yes. I mean, each body is a different structure, and each individual has their own mind as to what's custom or what they should wear. So each of the garments are unique.
Is it all for men?
No.
Okay. You do stuff for women
Then
too?
I got to answer you how I answer everybody. So when they ask me, "Do you make women's clothing?" Oh, yes, I go both ways.
Okay. So you do for both.
Absolutely,
All right. Okay.
absolutely.
So where do you see your business going? What do you hope happens to your business?
I mean, for me, I would just like my business to continue growing. I love working with our employees and growing our family, if you will, of employees. And, you know, like we have the honor of providing jobs where people get to make really neat stuff with their hands. And so I would just like to continue growing that.
What's the greatest lesson you've learned as being a business owner?
Whew, that's a tough one. There are a lot of good ones. I mean, learning to let go of responsibilities and have other people do things when I used to do everything, that's always been hard. Probably the big thing though for me, especially in my younger days, I thought my business would hit this magical point where we hit steady state and that everything would be the same. The biggest lesson for me is that the marketplace is constantly changing. And you just have to plan for things to always be different. So,
And when you think you've hit that plateau, it sometimes goes up and sometimes goes down.
the plateau is an illusion. So if you think you're there, it means you're tricking yourself. Things are in flux all the time.
Good observation. Most important lesson for you.
Well, and I remember it as if it was yesterday. One of my vendors, Martin Greenfield, who also makes some of our beautiful hand finished garments, he said to me, this is middle of May of 1980.
You remember years really well.
If you ever stop learning, get out of the business.
That's true. Yeah.
Because each and every single individual has their own idea as to what they like. You can have 3 bodies with the exact same measurements and make 3 totally different garments, and all 3 of them are correct, because each individual has their own idea as to what's custom.
Do you feel successful? I mean, if somebody said, "Are you successful, Paco?"
Am I successful? Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I haven't mentioned at all is I was born in Mexico, and I've lived here since I arrived in Chicago for the first time, December 24th, 1967, and I have only had 3 years of schooling total.
Wow. And,
So
and
to sit here
obviously
in
he
front of you-
memorizes calendars. So
Yeah, that's very
this is
true.
one of the things you've got. Well, how about you? Do you feel you're successful?
That's tough. When I step back and look at how much progress we've made, yes. Unfortunately, as a business owner, my mind is always looking forward, and I see where I want to be. So I'm always measuring up short to where I want to be. But that's part of what fuels my drive. Yeah.
We're down to the kind of the last few seconds. So just if you had to give a real short piece of advice to someone who wanted to go in business or is in business, kind of starting up, what would be that one quick piece of advice?
Make sure you enjoy what you do. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be good at it. Whatever it is, just be good at it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you enjoy what you're doing. I can
Very
tell.
much.
I can
Very
s-
much.
I can see it, and so do you.
Absolutely.
So what would be your piece of advice?
Just try. Identify a passion and just take some baby steps and just try. Don't wait for some magic day to come where you think that, okay, I'm going to start a business. Just dive in and try. Yeah.
So we've got a lot of good, successful businesses here. What would you say just to encourage somebody maybe to jump in if they're thinking about it?
Give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's your passion, if you're good at it, just give it a shot. There is no wrong thing unless you didn't do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to give it a shot to be able to see what happens. If it didn't work, it's only the wrong thing if you didn't do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, real quick from
and
you.
you have to be willing to try and fail, learn from your failures, and keep moving forward, and you can do it.
Thanks for being business owners in our region and providing that economic activity. And thanks for being passionate about what you do. It's very inspiring.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate
Likewise.
you guys being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
You bet. I am an entrepreneur and have taught entrepreneurship for years. I've owned a number of businesses, having felt both the ecstasy of triumph and the agony of defeat. I would like to share a little of what I have learned. Business ownership is not for everyone, and starting a business is an unbelievable amount of work. There's a sign in a retail store I go to that says, "The pain of childbirth is overrated when compared to the experience of owning a business." Some women may not agree, but the pain can be longer in business, and you don't always end up with a cute baby. When I used to run seminars on how to start a business, I would begin by telling the audience, when you start a business, you put 3 things at risk. Number 1 is your money. Statistics say that many of you will lose your investment. You can recover from it in many ways, so plan properly and be deliberate in your actions. Number 2 is your relationships with your spouse, your children, family, investors, friends, and partners. Your solicitations for money, sacrifice of time with them, demand for understanding, and requests for help can strain your bonds beyond the breaking point. Patience, forgiveness, and amends may repair those damaged relationships. Number 3 is your personal well-being. It's at risk. If your business fails, you may feel terrible about yourself, and it could wreck your health. Depression, loss of confidence, and the turbulence in your mind may take a long time to overcome or repair. The third risk may be the greatest. There are also many rewards and good feelings about owning or starting a business. You get to be boss. You provide jobs. You are admired. Customers like you. Vendors shower you with attention. Employees love you, some of the time. You can build, plan, strategize, and reach goals. It can be that way, but it's not always. A student of mine summed it up in a paper when she said, "I've been thinking about why someone would want to go into business where the hours are long, the risk is high, and the rewards can be few. Then I realized it was the challenge, the accomplishment, and the sense of pride which drives people to make the attempt. But in the end, ultimately, It is the feeling of self-satisfaction. Thanks for those words, Barb. We hope you enjoyed this show and have learned something about owning or starting a business and what entrepreneurs experience. We always appreciate our viewers, whether they watch Focus at our regular broadcast times or consume it via the web. No matter how you access the show, we would like to hear your comments and thoughts. You can reach us through our email address or website, both listed on your screen. Be sure and join us again next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.